Right, so whilst Suella Braverman has been doing the media rounds today, still claiming that a barge riddled with Legionella is fit for human habitation, please do take a room for a week and prove it to us all, by all means. She's on the attack elsewhere too. She's been laying into the police. Now, of course, the reputation of the police in this country has been going down the pan for some time, has it not? Much of that can be linked to the appointments of people based on their political affiliation rather than any discernible talent, the politicisation of police and crime commissioners, as all those in charge of police forces around the country seemingly inept and there purely to provide cover for those in charge. Many will point to Cressida Dick's tenure in charge of the Met as arguably the best known example for many of us, presiding over rapists and murderers in the ranks and wondering what exactly she got a damehood for. People will draw their own conclusions, but above all else, the police are supposed to be there to deal with crime. And Braverman's attack has been very much of that note, has been one of demanding the police stop trivialising certain crimes. Apparently they joke about it, who knew? Notably saying that they must investigate every theft. Now that is all well and good, and of course we do expect police to be doing that. But we're also aware of what has happened to the police after 13 years of Tory government. Austerity led to 20,000 of them getting made redundant. 26,000 actually. Police stations also being sold off to property developers and crime rates increasing across the board as a result. It was complete false economy to do this, all in the name of austerity as it was, and despite years of commitments to recruit more police officers than ever before, the fact is we barely have any more police now than we did in 2010 when the Tories took power. In 2010, there were 146,000 police officers in England and Wales. Today, there are 149,000. So the Tories, across 13 years, have managed to increase police officer provision, certainly, but only by 3,000 officers. Of course, when that was put to Braverman on the TV rounds this morning, she vociferously denied they've only recruited 3,000 officers. The Tories have, according to her, recruited 20,000 officers. But that only replaces those that have been lost. And in fact, her numbers are rubbish, since the Tories saw 26,000 police officer roles lost. And if she was on top of her brief, she'd not be crowing about 23,000 new officers. But given they're up 3,000 on 2010, she ought to be cheering recruiting 29,000 new officers. The numbers don't lie. They were only up 3,000 on 2010, though. Unlike the Tory Home Secretary, it's literally the Home Office's own website that is publishing these numbers. So, why are the Tories bragging about something now that they really have no business bragging about at all, having spent 13 years treading water, fixing a problem they themselves very much created? Well, apparently it's crime week for the Tories. I read that and thought surely that's every week for this band of thieves, but they aren't, of course, talking about themselves. But plans afoot to get crime down, get it tackled, and from Suella Braverman's perspective, that means blaming the police for not having done it already. She said, "Since I've become Home Secretary, I've come across far too many accounts from victims of where their phone or their car has been stolen, where they've had a home burglary, and the police have taken no action. That's totally unacceptable, and that's why in the last year I've been leading, together with the policing minister, a large programme of reform when it comes to policing. We are reducing the time that the police are spending on bureaucracy and needless tasks, where we've increased the number of police officers, and now this is about diverting those freed up and new resources to tackling the priorities that the British people possess." Since you became Home Secretary, you also tried to pay for a parking fine on expenses, so theft from the public purse, surely. I'm sure you're grateful nobody was looking then, though, eh? Thank goodness there weren't enough police around to do that, perhaps. Anyway, now, talking about new resources as well as a stretch, as I've said already, when recruitment has barely caught up with replacing all those police the same Tories made redundant some years back. Now apparently they're freed up. To what? Do the jobs they were supposed to be doing anyway? No matter how many more incidents they might be capable of attending now, the paperwork and the bureaucracy she talks about still has to be done. If more crimes are attended to, great. But that means more paperwork still. What needless tasks do you speak of as well? The paperwork? It still has to be done. Evidence has to be gathered and reports collated and written, because otherwise arrested felons can just walk free. Hardly needless then, is it? Very important, in fact. Braverman only became Home Secretary, it should be pointed out as well. It seems like she's been there for years. Less than a year ago. And by that I mean Liz Truss appointed her last September, not Rishi Sunak reappointing her after she quit for breaching the ministerial code. What have you done over the past year alone that has made a difference to policing? Because here you stated that when you came in, the police were taking no action on burglaries, car and phone thefts. When Leaky Sue came in as Home Secretary, the Tories had already been on a recruitment drive, having gone oh shit, we've screwed up policing, haven't we? We need them all back again. And policing numbers stood at 144,356. That was the number of police officers the very month Braverman came in as Home Secretary. The government published quarterly police recruitment uplift figures, so these are very easy to access online on the government's own website. So under Braverman, she's seen all the 5,000 extra police recruited, finally rectifying all the damage her party had already done, apparently. But the numbers, 5,000, they're not going to be dramatic difference makers in the grand scheme of things if what Braverman says of the police force's incapability to tackle crime is true. The only thing she said in that statement that is true is that it's unacceptable that these crimes are not being dealt with. But let's face it, this isn't something the police can be blamed for when your party decimated their ranks. The biggest problem here, though, is that with the reputation of the police trashed, will numbers of crimes being dealt with improve with greater numbers of them? Or will people refrain from bothering to call them either because they feel they simply won't come still, or simply don't trust them anymore? Surely it can't just be a matter of recruitment when the damage limitation to the reputations of police forces, most notably, I suppose, the Met Police, need dealing with. In my view, the Met is so damaged it needs abolishing and starting again. But are they the only ones? Is that enough to restore trust? With the police having been so heavily politicised, can they be trusted to hold our politicians to account anymore? How long, for example, did it take for Boris Johnson's partying to get investigated? How about Keir Starmer's Beergate scandal that he seemingly got away with? Did a Labour Police and Crime Commissioner in Durham come in very handy there? Will we ever trust the police again any more than we believe Suella Braverman's recruitment numbers? Please do have your say about this in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious as to what people think. Can we fix the police in this country as they are, as things stand? Can we trust them again if we can fix them? Or do we need to scrap them entirely and start again, depoliticising them along the way? Or are just pure numbers enough to fix all of this? Thanks for watching. I hope you found the video useful. Please do like, share and subscribe. If you did, more content out daily. Meanwhile, here's a video recommendation for you where even more of a shadow is cast across Braverman's figures when that 20,000 figure she's wedded to on the media rounds actually comes from a Boris Johnson 2019 recruitment drive for the police, which not only wasted time and money, but saw police officers continue to resign. I'll hopefully catch you on the next vid. Cheers, folks.